I'm here today with Stuart Andrew, who is the Conservative Party candidate for the Daventry district. Stuart, you're new to the constituency. Can you tell us a little bit about your background?
Yeah, well, I actually grew up in Wales. I was born and brought up on a council estate, and that's where I got my interest in politics, actually, because whilst there wasn't a lot of money on the estate, what there was a lot of community spirit that a local councillor had really encouraged. And I just saw that when the community came together, we could do some amazing things, like a new community centre, playground for young people. And so that's where I got my interest in politics. But I also have, my background was working in the charity sector. So I used to work in a number of children's hospices as a head of fundraiser, and led a team that sort of raised the money to do that. And then whilst I was doing that, I became a city councillor in Leeds and then eventually a member of parliament in Pudsey. But we've had these boundary changes and they have demolished my seat. It's been abolished. But I'm really keen to continue working in public life. It's something that, gets me up in the morning, and it's something I care passionately about. And that's why I was really delighted when the local party chose me to be their parliamentary candidate for this election.
Fantastic. And you're not from the area. Will you understand the people in our area and what issues that they face? Are you going to be moving to our area? How is it all going to work?
So I've already moved. I'm
Oh.
living in Moulton, Boughton, but I've spent a lot of time going around the constituency in the last couple of weeks, knocking on doors, because I think it's really important for me to have those conversations with local residents, hear the different views, and also recognising this is a very big geographical constituency. So what might really be important to the people in Earls Barton, for example, will be very different to what's important to the people of Daventry or in other wider villages around the constituency. So I've spent a lot of time, literally morning, noon, and night, knocking on doors and had loads of conversations so far. But that's something I'd want to carry on doing as a member of parliament. I think as a member of parliament, you have to be immersed in the community. You have to be based in it. That's why I've moved here. I'm in temporary accommodation at the moment, but I'm going to look for my permanent residence, and then be out and about in these communities if I get elected, so that I continue to have those conversations, work with local communities to address the specific issues that are facing them.
That's really good to hear. And I didn't realise that the constituency goes as far as Earls Barton.
It's increased massively
Yeah.
in terms of geography, and I get this. When I was out in Earls Barton, the man was shouting at me that Daventry has nothing to do with us, but that's just the name of the constituency. Every one of the villages, every part of this constituency will be just as important to me as Daventry is. They've all got to have that representation should I be elected.
And given that it is such a rural constituency and sort of moving on to farming, which is what we've been talking about for a lot this morning, how will you and your party be supporting the farming community, especially given the high level of suicide, mental health challenges, and with the cheaper foreign imports that come into the UK, which consumers are more likely to buy as they navigate the cost of living crisis? Is UK food security important to you and your party?
It certainly is, and I think if the lessons of the last year or two have taught us anything, is that we've got to really double down on food security in this country, because we are living in a world now where something that happens many thousands of miles away can have a direct impact on us, on our daily lives. And so for me, being a member of parliament is about representing the constituency. So I'd want to regularly meet with farmers. There's a lot I've got to learn about farming. I'm not going to, deny that. But what I value is listening to what people are saying, so I can then make those representations in Parliament. And that's what I've done in my time as a Member of Parliament. I've also built up good relations with members of Parliament from other parties, because, we don't know what's going to happen on election day. But if there is a different party in government, I've got those working relationships with a lot of those people who are likely to be the ministers, so that I can have that constructive engagement with them. I think it's really important that we, don't just sort of shout at each other, but have that proper engagement, so I can raise the issues that local farmers are raising with me, and see that we can try and change policy where necessary, but also to get some of those ministers to come to the constituency, meet with local farmers so that they can hear directly the impact that many things are having on the farming community.
That's the thing, when you watch Prime Minister's Questions Times and things like that, it's almost sort of school ground sort of tit for tat and things like that, and it would be quite refreshing to actually have cross party kind of working. And in this area, we struggle quite a lot with bovine TB. We're a high risk area and we're in yearly testing. That has a lot of stresses and strains. There's been several thousand cattle culled in this area, and that has a significant impact not only on the business, but also on our own mental health, because we care passionately about the animals that we keep. And at the moment, the systems are quite archaic and very slow. What can the farming community expect from the next government with issues such as this?
Well, look, I know how, even though I was in an urban seat, I did a lot of research when we were having the votes on the badger culls, for example, and it made me very unpopular locally, but I voted for them because when I read of the devastating impact it was having on farmers, I realised we have to do something to help. And as you've just rightly said, farmers take a lot of care in their cattle, and it is distressing for them. And not only is that an impact that will hit them financially, but the mental effect that has on people cannot be overstated, really. And so that's why I took that decision to vote for it, because I thought it was important that we do support the rural community, we do make sure that we're doing everything we can. But again, where more better work needs to happen, I'd want to hear that from local farmers so that I can make those representations to the government, whoever's in charge. I mean, you're right about Parliament. I always describe Prime Minister's Questions as the pantomime half hour that we have there. What I think people don't see much of, and wish they did see, is there is a lot of cross-party working that happens, whether that be select committees grilling ministers, or whether that be all party groups working together on issues that matter, on specific issues. And that's the sort of thing I would certainly be getting involved with, to make sure that the people's voices here in this constituency are being heard in those really important meetings.
And finally, if you're elected to office in a couple of weeks' time, what are the first things that you will be doing to make an impact in our constituency?
Well, first of all, is being out and about there. I mean, I love meeting people, and that's why I've really enjoyed knocking on the doors. Sometimes you don't hear what you want to hear, but that doesn't matter. That's my job. I'm here as a representative, and it's my job to get out into the communities, listen to what they are saying, understand the issues that they want me to focus on, and giving my all towards that. That's what I've done in my previous constituency, is what I want to do here, and making sure that we actually get our fair share of what funding is available, whether that be for our highways. Everybody's complaining about the potholes to me, whether that's about making sure there are localized health services so that people don't have to travel so far. There's talk about having these clinical diagnostic centres. Well, let's get one for this area so people don't have to travel into the big towns and cities to go to hospitals. Let's get that diagnosis done here. And then also things like schools are really important to me, because actually giving kids a good education, it's what's going to make their life a lot easier in the future. And apprenticeships is something I feel very passionately about, because I think some people, an academic education is not for them, but it doesn't mean to say they haven't got anything to contribute. In fact, they probably have some amazing skills that we need to unleash, because that will help us all in the long term.
Stuart, thank you so much for taking the time to come and talk to us today. If any of the other political parties would like to come and obviously hold conversations as well, but good luck in the coming elections, and thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you very much for having me. It's been absolutely amazing, and I just hope this weather continues until polling day.
Thank you.
Right.